And I loved it so much that I remember getting a call from Scott Air Force Base for an IT job.
Okay.
And I don't know why. Don't ask why.
You turned down the government job?
I literally said, no, I'm not interested in coming in for an interview. Do you have anything in web design? And I don't know where that came from, but I love what I was doing so much that I turned a hobby into a small freelancing business.
In this episode of the What Made You podcast, we will be interviewing a man in the computer science field that made a slight pivot during COVID-19 to work on a profitable passion of web design. This passion pushed James into becoming a full-time entrepreneur in his own web design company. James says that he is naturally risk-averse, but after hearing his story, you will see a man that takes shots of faith reasonably towards his childhood hobbies using his strengths and experiences.
Live, B.
Hey! Yo, we are live. Yo, what is going on, guys? I am Michael Shear, and this is the What Made You podcast, where I am going to be interviewing high-level thinkers. This is employers, this is employees, but mostly going to be on the manager side that are talking about their lives and how they got out of the employee mindset and got into the place of being irreplaceable and of value. So today I have
James Robinson.
What do you do?
I have a web design, graphic design business. I am a freelancer. I work with a lot of nonprofits and other businesses that need websites and graphic design service. And I love it. I'm loving what I do. I absolutely love it. And yeah.
Cool, super dope, super dope. So as we're gonna start with the What Made You podcast, so What Made You is gonna be, we can start from the very, very beginning, right? So we'll do like a 2 to 5 minute snippet of you just kind of walk me through, I was born and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you run me through that real quick?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I am from Murfreesboro, Illinois. I went to, yes, I went to Carbondale, Illinois, or Carbondale, I went to SIU Carbondale, so I am a Saluki.
Saluki as well. Yo, SIUC.
So my background is information technology, so I got my degree in that. And so I have been working in technology for about 12 years. And so during COVID, I actually had the opportunity to pivot and get into what I'm doing. However, prior to COVID, I was doing this as a hobby. I'm sorry, am I getting ahead of your question?
No, keep going. Go with the flow. We're here.
I started out as a hobby. So I was a part of a church and I wanted to do a flyer.
Gotcha.
I did a flyer. I wanted to do a website. I did a website. I started out with a site builder called Wix. I just basically stumbled across them. So this was back in about 2010.
Okay.
And I got my feet wet doing websites, and I loved it.
Gotcha.
I loved it. And I loved it so much that I remember getting a call from Scott Air Force Base for an IT job.
Okay.
And I don't know why. Don't ask why.
You turned down the government job?
I literally said, no, I'm not interested in coming in for an interview. Do you have anything in web design? And I don't know where that came from, but I love what I was doing so much that I turned a hobby into a small freelancing business. So then I became a sole proprietorship and I started working with actual clients and building websites and doing flyers here and there while maintaining an IT career.
Nice.
So I did that for about 10 years. And
just the freelance stuff.
Just the freelance
So you were still working at the time?
I was still working at the time. And then COVID came. I had the opportunity because they sent everybody home.
Yeah.
I was still getting paid.
Everybody got to remember that. Ain't no way you forgot about that feeling.
Yep. So I was at home. I was able to test out to see if I was able to make what I was bringing home financially, and I was able to. So I was like, wait, this could be my opportunity, because I really enjoyed doing what I was doing as a freelancer.
That's a good point. So what was it, a monetary point that made you feel comfortable, or was it just that your passion overtook your risk parameter? So some people can just jump right in. They could be making like $5 an hour and be like, I'm done with everything. Okay. Yo, I'm gonna do this. This is my love. This is what I'm gonna do.
Definitely say I am not a risk taker. I am not a big risk taker.
I beg to differ, by the way.
It has to make sense to me,
because you started something. Yeah, you started as an IT. You've been doing this forever. It's so safe. It's comfortable. You get a paycheck, and now you're maybe.
Well, I do have.
Sort of.
I do have some regular clients that I feel like bring in a consistent income, and I don't have debt. I don't have a lot of debt. I don't have a lot of bills that I need to pay. So that also allowed me to take advantage of this opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's working. Yes, my clients, my income, I can make thousands of dollars one month, and then next month I might only make a few. So I also learned how to budget very, very good as a freelancer.
So who taught you this? Where'd this come from?
YouTube.
YouTube taught you how to budget, how to become a web designer.
Well, I learned a lot through actually my grandmother. I feel like really taught me how to budget. I learned a lot through her, because I would give her my refund checks that I received back in the college days. Ooh. And she would literally, okay, you got this. I would ask her for my money. She basically was my banker. So I learned a lot from that experience.
The first investment advisor.
Yep, I learned a lot from her, and also just getting out on my own.
So what allowed you to do that in the first place? Because I would not let my grandma touch my money. I love my grandma.
Well,
I don't know if I could have given that up.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for that, because I would have ran through it. I would have got new shoes.
So did she just like, hey, James, I'm taking it? Or was it like an agreement between you two? How did that even?
How it started was I needed transportation to go to school, because I had to commute, and basically she loaned me money to get a car, get my car fixed. Also, my mom, I had a lot of support. My uncle always fixed my cars in advance, and basically I would just pay them back. So that's kind of how it started, with her holding on to the money. So
okay, so you just said, well, I want to get to that, the support system team, because I think that kind of shapes us in many different ways. Mm-hmm. I didn't grow up with that type of support. I had my grandmother. She was there. She was like the rock, right? But for me, I didn't have the financial literacy stuff. Like there was no help in that. And like my grandmother worked. I would assume she used every single dime that she had to keep us living the way that we did. Although it was, pretty essentially bare minimum, but still above. I would say above poverty. But like right at the line, right? So we were always paycheck to paycheck. There was no, if anything happened, it was like, okay, we have to sit back and wait 2 or 3 months before anything else happened again. There was no emergency fund per se. So is that the biggest part? Is that what helped you? You think your grandmother, your mom actually got you to the place where you could say, okay, I see my launch pad. So whenever I start this journey of entrepreneurship, that I know what's safe. Like
I would say that's where it started. I also early on got exposed to Dave Ramsey.
Ooh, okay.
Financial Peace.
Yeah. Debt Snowball. Okay.
Which taught a lot about having that emergency fund that you mentioned, saving.
How much is it? What's that emergency fund?
Paying cash for
is
things.
it 3 months? What's he say?
I
3
think
months?
it was a month, I believe. But that's about where we, my wife and I, started with that month of emergency fund. But then you also have the 3 months or so of saving, if I remember correctly. But it really helped shape how I handled my money.
Yeah.
So
you guys still follow that? Is that
we
still
do
your
not
money mindset? Okay.
We don't. However,
why would you say that you do?
Well, we don't follow all of the rules that he had. I don't even think we finished the full layout of Financial Peace. But
now, if anybody doesn't know what that is, Dave Ramsey is just essentially get out of debt aggressively get out of debt, have a savings fund for a month. I believe it's 1 month, as you said, and then that's just emergency only. And then you have another one, which is about 3 months. That's before he even says, hey, before you start investing, before you start going on into entrepreneurship, he wants you to have 3 months or 6. I think it's 6 months actually. I think it is 6 months.
You might be right. It's been about 10 years.
6 months of just being able to not have to have a paycheck support your living. And so he says, build up 6 months of that before you even start into it. I don't, unfortunately for me, I'm a lot more of a risk taker than you. So I might be like, all right, 1 week is good enough for me to survive on. I had to try to figure something out. Obviously that is detrimental to a lot of my life, but but I think that is a great route for 95% of people. Getting out of debt is massive. Even our walk, our faith, debt is a big deal for us in many ways. And on the other end of it, as I believe on that 5%, I think that there is good debt. Dave Ramsey does not believe in that. No credit cards, get them out. No loans. I'm like, how do you even get a house? How do you get a mortgage? Are you always renting? Which, again, I think is perfectly fine. How long did you rent? Do you own your own house?
We do. We own our house, and I would say that my mindset is let's try to live off one income. Even though we have two, let's try to live off one income in case some emergency would happen or something would happen, we lose our job or whatever, we can still survive off that one income.
So what do you do?
The rest would be saved, or the rest would be,
saved? What does that mean?
It's saved in the bank or invested, or basically.
What is invested? What is invested to you?
Invested would be in stocks, the stock market, things like that. Or we do give a lot. We try to give to, nonprofits or friends, family, those in need. But yeah, we definitely try to live off one income. And yes, we do own our house. This is our second
outright?
home. No.
Oh,
we still have a mortgage. We couldn't afford that just yet.
Yeah.
But definitely we have a mortgage that is affordable, and I could pay it or my wife can pay it, because we like to live off that one income. So we are not living, I would say, paycheck to paycheck. And I love that. I feel like that is security to me. And also I like that, even though the bank might approve you for, $500,000 to get a house.
Right.
No, let's cap it here and then live off one income, and then we can, sell that house.
Where'd that come from?
That was just always my mindset, because
you said always, but
well, okay.
I think you had to.
It came from somewhere. You're right.
This happened. Yeah.
I would say it came off of just learning not to be a slave to the lender. I came across that scripture in the Bible. I think it's in Proverbs. I can't remember the exact address, but it talks about not being a slave to the lender.
Yeah. Turn left on Luke.
Yeah.
Go north on 45 Matthew.
But yeah, I think that we can be a slave to the lender because, if you owe somebody, I think Paul talks about in the New Testament owing nobody nothing but love. And I like that philosophy, because I feel like debt can really cripple you. I know that a lot of people like yourself,
I hear you.
You can utilize debt.
You can.
Bring in income, but at the same time, I think, a little different. And I think debt can really cripple you from doing so many other things. So that's just how I think about things.
So that's really good. Okay? And kind of going back to that same thing, that 95% that I think that Dave Ramsey is speaking to, there's the 5% that I don't think he does speak to, and which is so funny to me because I think he is one of the 5%. Like, he owns his own business, he does his own thing, he doesn't live paycheck to paycheck, but at the same time, he's not guaranteed anything. Like, a business can fail at any time, and that's what I always get to here. A business can fail at any time.
Yes, it can.
Anybody feeling safe because they're an employee of somebody, they think this paycheck is so comfortable, it comes every 2 weeks, we're getting it. How do we know that's guaranteed? How do we know our employer or the person who's running the business is not doing what you're talking about right now? It's not going to massive debt, and the business is going to fail in like 2 weeks, and now you're out of a job, and the only thing you've ever done is just followed a script. How did you get out? What got you out of that script?
Well, I also feel like I have comfort in knowing that I'm educated. I have a degree.
Okay.
So if that company went under, I would try to get another job. If my business doesn't not succeed, I'll go back and get another job. I think having a degree...
Your degree secures you, in a sense.
Yes.
Knowledge secures you.
Yes.
I 1000% agree.
Yeah. So
maybe not necessarily on the degree part, but I think knowledge.
Yes. Yeah.
Which does bring me to one of my next points. I really want to make sure that what do you do now that keeps you on top of your game? Because as you just said, knowledge secures you. But if you where'd you graduate?
I graduated back in 2007.
2007. So let's say you just stopped learning in 2007. How secure are you then?
Well, I mean,
would that keep you in the same place you are now with 2007 knowledge?
Well, I think when you do have a degree, it does open up doors and you become more marketable. And there are jobs or careers that do train you. So I think that does bring some type of security. But you're right. I feel like you do have to stay on top of things. Technology is always changing.
Especially in tech.
It's so hard to keep up with everything, especially if you are trying to focus on one thing or focus on what you're doing. There could be so many other, softwares, or AI is a big thing now.
AI's
all
big.
that stuff just keeps popping up. So
you got ChatGPT, you got video.io.
Yeah.
That's a whole
it's a ton of things.
Nugget right there.
Ton of things out there, so you really have to sort of stay engaged with what's going on.
Do you have a community that you're in that
I use LinkedIn a lot.
Stuff? Okay.
I rely on LinkedIn a lot. I'm connected to different groups and subscribe to different blogs and platforms. I follow
Who do you learn
Adobe.
from it? What's your main source? What do you say, like, hey, this is the guy, this is the lady that I follow that keeps me up on my tech, keeps me up on my website development?
Well, there are some individuals, but I like to follow actual companies, specifically Adobe.
Okay.
I do a lot of graphic design stuff and video stuff, and so Adobe makes a lot of the software that I use, so I have to stay on top of that.
Gotcha.
So that is
Do they have like
main,
a course or something like that?
There are some free courses, tutorials.
You said your
out
YouTube.
there. Yeah,
University, you got your master's and PhD in YouTube.
I use YouTube a lot. I also use other tutorials that they actually put out there.
Okay.
But yeah, Adobe Creative Cloud is what it's called. I definitely stay on top of that because I use that for video editing software. I use Premiere Pro, After Effects. I use Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign. So those softwares are very vital to my business. So I have to stay on top of that. They are always updating it, making it better and better. So I try to stay on top of.
So you do read. You do.
I have to read. I have to watch and learn.
That's a key.
And grow.
If you are not at least at the bare minimum reading something, you're so far behind already. Especially with tech. Tech, to me, if everybody's not doing tech in some form, you're so far behind. Yep. You're so far behind the curve. I mean, this could be even for carpenters. Like people you wouldn't even think would need it. People like employees from McDonald's. Like, could you imagine if you didn't know how to read a digital clock or something on one of those things? There's just so much to tech that everybody has to get into. I believe. I don't mean to take this too far back, but you always keep talking about creativity. Where'd you get that? Where'd that come from? Was that like a childhood thing that you just started, hey, I like drawing, or I just enjoy colors and art, or where'd that come from? You said IT, and now you're talking about this, like, I understand IT can be creative, but how did you get into the marketing stuff? Is that a kid stuff, or did you just find that in college sometime?
Man, it's always been a joy, a passion that I had even in my youth. I love to draw, like you said. I love to make things, and from paintings to a lot of drawings, art class. That was my favorite subject.
Gotcha.
And I was actually pretty solid at it. So,
what kind of GPA do you have?
In
high school.
In high school, I was pretty solid. I don't remember my GPA, but
I was a solid.
I graduated with ease, I would say. I did have some scholarships, but I ended up going to a junior college. Actually, I started out at Johnny Logan Community College, and then I finished there. I got a degree in computer information systems, which transferred to information systems technology at SIU Carbondale.
Gotcha.
But even through high school, through college, I always enjoyed those classes that I was able to create.
Yeah.
I chose IT as a path because I felt like I would always have a job, and that has been true. I've always had a job. Thank God for that. But yeah, it's been very marketable. Having a degree in that field. But I very much so enjoyed the few classes I did take in the IT path. I took a Photoshop class,
gotcha.
I think another creative design class. So I really enjoyed those, and just randomly one day I decided to make a website for myself. Coming out of college.
Okay, I keep hearing you say this. You keep saying this over. Where does this? Something had to happen, right? Like, you keep on saying, "I just decided to." I just decided. I just wanted to make a website. I wanted to get into IT. I wanted to draw. Like, where does how? What is this? There's got to be something.
I just feel like that is a giftedness, a talent that God gave me, and I started using it finally. So I think that that has a lot to do with it. And as far as me, again, picking that path in IT, I just felt like it was secure. So I wasn't.
So you got that security piece.
Yep, I got that piece. And as far as the desire to do that website, I do not remember any purpose behind it. It was just kind of like one of those free time things. I remember I enjoyed it in college doing the website. So I was like, man, I'm gonna see if I can still do it. But there was no purpose really behind it. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And from there, I remember trying to do something for, I think my neighbor at that time, she worked for daycare, and I remember designing a business card. That was also a starting point.
You just did it.
Yeah, I was like,
out of nowhere.
I could do a business card because they were talking about, I guess, some marketing stuff that they would need, and I didn't have any experience, any exposure, but I wanted to do this business card for them, and I think it was, looking back, I think it was an opportunity, and I enjoyed it. I was thankful for the opportunity, and I actually did an okay job on the business card.
So, for the people out here, are you okay with doing free labor?
It depends.
And is it always your source to start?
So, for one, it depends on what that person is doing. If I believe in the vision and I guess the company or I should say the nonprofit, sometimes it's a startup and they don't have funding. So on the record, I do from time to time do projects for free, especially if it's like a church or something like that is preaching the gospel, the word of God. I'm very passionate about getting that out there. On occasions, I will do a project like that for free. However, I do have to make a living, and I do have financial goals, and I want to.
But would you say that's good for somebody starting out? If you just got,
oh yes,
or would you just go jump for a job per se, or would you say, hey, it might be best to try the freelance work, like you said? Which route would you say that if you were brand new in this game, which you're not? Where would you start if it was today? Today, not 10 years ago, but right today, you're a new guy, just like yourself, had the inquisitive mind, but you're still a little bit on the safe side, but you have this massive passion for what you do. Where would you start?
I would say two options. If you are in school for this, I would try to definitely, hands down, develop a portfolio with free projects, or possibly even getting an internship. Okay. And develop a portfolio that way. If you are trying to become a freelancer on your own, or you're trying to pivot into a new career, I would do free work.
Okay.
Starting out here and there, but if you can
build a portfolio.
Yes, to build a portfolio.
So are you saying like portfolio? Let's be clear. Mm-hmm. Instagram, Facebook, showing your work, getting testimonials from the free work, right?
Absolutely. Or even getting a
YouTube, if that's like your way of doing your marketing, if you're good with content.
Or you can even get a website going. I know there's a lot of, you don't technically have to be a web designer or a web developer to have a website nowadays. There's a lot of platforms that are very user-friendly, such as Wix, and that's actually how I got started.
Yeah, talk to me about that, because I think that's, you didn't mention that yet, but you are a Wix
partner
expert or something? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that and how people would actually be able to get into that.
Yeah. So back in about 2010, I built my first website on the Wix platform. This is when there was just Flash, which is basically obsolete now. Yeah. I started out with Wix, and I built a site for my church, and then there was another youth friend for free.
Okay.
I also built a site for a youth ministry that was kind of connected to the church for free on that same platform.
The Lord's Word.
And I also absolutely, and I also built another site for a friend of mine who was into music. That was not a Christian or church site, but he was into music. And I think those were like my three first websites built on the Wix platform. And I discovered that Wix had this thing where you could become at that time it was called a Wix Pro. And so basically you would design 3 sites, and they would critique those sites and determine if you were were skilled enough to become a Wix Pro. And at that point, I submitted those sites.
So it's not like a course, it's an actual trial.
It's a trial. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And so I submitted these sites, and they were like, you got what it takes. And so at that point, you can create this profile on the Wix site, wix.com, and you can create a profile so people can hire you and put bids in for a project.
Can you give us an example of what a
Yes.
bid would look like? Is it like $20,
So-
$10, $5?
So there is this Wix platform, or you go to the Wix site and you can hire a pro. You can try to build it yourself, which a lot of people do, and then some find out how hard it is, or they might not know how to do something, and then that's where I would come in because I'm considered the pro.
Yeah.
And I would be able to get this request for this design, and they send this request out to about 8 different Wix pros or Wix partners. Now they rebranded, and you get to bid on this service.
Got it.
Or you get to put a bid on, try to win that bid. So
Is there like a minimum that they do?
no, you set your own contract. You make your own contracts with people. You make your own pricing. So basically, it's very loosely connected to Wix. Basically, Wix wants to know that you are skilled at what you do on their platform. And
Do they get a cut of the contract?
well, what they get is residual income, because if you build on the Wix platform, you have to use their hosting, their Wix hosting,
I see.
their package. So that's one thing that they get.
So they're not like doing 30% of the cost of the contract. That's
Nope. So basically,
So you actually get
I get
what
the
I'm
full
understanding. It sounds like
I get the full
very
amount.
nice.
So if I wanted to charge, $2,000, I would get the full $2,000. But they have to pay Wix hosting.
Right.
And any other services that Wix sells them. They can buy email services, they can pay for apps and stuff for their website and so forth.
Okay.
So, but that's how I got started with Wix. And if you want to get your feet wet, if you want to, if you're very tech savvy, this is one way that you can really get into web design by going through the Wix platform. There are other platforms like Wix that offer this. I believe you
WordPress?
can become, WordPress is a little different, and I believe that you need to be a little bit more tech savvy for that.
Like in HTML or coding or
Just different. There's different ways to go about building a WordPress site, but yes, you can learn how to edit themes, or but you have to be mindful. You have to learn about updating plugins and things like that, and also possibly even learn things on the back end as far as optimizing a site and stuff like that. A lot of
SEO and the Google Analytics.
There are a lot of site builders that kind of do that for you, like keep your site secure. That's a big one, right, for WordPress. So you have to, you might have to install your own SSL certificate, which helps
security.
helps keep your site secure, as opposed to Wix, which automatically does it for you. So
okay.
It's more work on the back end. It can be more work on the back end when you get into WordPress. But I was specifically talking about site builders, like there's Squarespace, things like that where you can become maybe a Squarespace expert. There's Weebly.
I've been seeing that.
Basically, there's other user-friendly, do-it-yourself site builders out there that you can become an expert in, and they can hire you to do that work.
Okay. Well, very cool. I think we're starting to kind of get to the wrap-up spot, but I know that now you're starting to get into studio design, audio equipment, video equipment, streaming equipment. Is that just off the back end of your other expertise, or is that just your next new passion?
It is becoming definitely my next new passion. So again, I knew really nothing about video, but during COVID,
COVID again.
COVID. I learned so much through COVID. And one of the things I learned was doing video. So our church didn't have any type of video, anything. I think at that time we were just posting audio for sermons. But during COVID, we were able to kind of pivot, and we were doing, basically everybody was shut down. So we got the opportunity to do recordings and do video recordings and just post it online through our website, through YouTube. And I got good at editing. So I started editing video, then I learned a little bit about audio. So I was able to kind of pivot and learn through COVID.
Yeah, just learning new skills.
If it wasn't for COVID, I
learning.
would not be doing any type of video, anything. I also, like I said, I'm not a risk taker. So there is very much, like I probably would never be doing my own business if it wasn't for COVID. I would be very content with my 9 to 5. I would probably still be doing IT stuff in the school district that I was working for at the time. However, because of COVID, you know, my daughter went on remote learning. She also caught COVID, so she was home for weeks at a time. She caught it several times. So just being able to be flexible and be at home, I just decided to go for it. I always wanted to do it full time anyway because I really enjoyed doing it. So I just went for it, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity, and I'm loving it. I love what I do, and hopefully I can continue to do it.
You heard it, guys. Heard it here. He said, "Thank God for COVID." You know.
I didn't say that. I'm not saying thank God for COVID, but I used COVID.
Use the trauma,
and I didn't let it get me down.
Because it's obviously that was a joke.
Yep.
But I'm thinking the same thing. There's some people that will take a tragedy, trauma, and sit in it, or you'd be like, all right, this is my opportunity. This is my step to do. Which actually I want to be the very last question. Do you think that with all these little gigs that you're kind of doing, I think that's kind of the idea right now, were you up to just, hey, I'll give that a shot? Or was there other people that you were beating out? Is there was somebody coming to you because of, hey, I've seen him do really good work, I'll try it? Or did you just come up to somebody, hey, I see that you're doing that, you think let me get a shot at that?
I would say both. A lot of people are referred to me by word of mouth. They see what I've done for someone else, and so I would earn business that way. I also get, again, a lot of business through the Wix platform still, and also, so I basically get to earn business by just getting, they might not even see my work, but I get their bid request or their request for work, and so I get to bid on their requests. So I get a lot of business that way as well.
So I think I appreciate you for giving your life story, your work, your portfolio of work. I think the things that I learned the most was mostly always continuing to try something new. Like I had not heard you say one thing that you weren't always going to that next step. You said, hey, just like a doctor, it was almost you went to school, you found your love for medicine, and then you wanted to help people, and then you wanted to, maybe, I've been working on the upper body forever, but now I found out my real passion is for the collars, and why does that happen? And I think that leads down the road of most doctors. How do they become specialized? Where do they get that next new thing? Because a lot of times it does start at just something very simple of, I want to help people. And then it comes into, doctor field, medicine field. In your case, IT, you felt that was safe. You wanted something safe. You've seen that IT was that safety platform for you, but you also have that creative space. And so now you took that and made it bigger. Now you're doing audio, and then you're doing websites, and then you're meeting clients, and now you're doing it for the church, you just can't stop. We can't stop learning, and we always got to keep going up. So guys, I hope that this is something special for you. I hope that you learned a lot from this. James, super dope. Go check out his website. Go check out his Wix specialty, his pro. He is a pro on Wix. You do your own website, or your own website design, excuse me, at King and Lord's Designs.
King and Lord Designs.
And go get a bid from him. Awesome stuff. He does work for me as well. That's why I got him on here, because he's super dope. He has a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, and I think that he can speak to just about anything, especially in the IT field of web design. So I appreciate it, man.
Yep. Thanks, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Appreciate it.